שלום, שלום לכל
Hello,
החברים
hello to all the friends, dear friends, hello. Dear beloved friends from the European Kli,
החברים הוותיקים,
hello to all of our veteran friends,
החברים החדשים,
men, women, you friends, everyone.
שאתם כאן.
We're
נשמח
very
לשמוע
happy
אתכם.
that you're here with us. We'll be more than happy if you turn on your cameras and show yourselves,
כי
give
אני
us a
שמח
smile,
שהם זכו להיות כאן יחד
because
בכל
you're
תקופת
happy
החורף. כן,
that
בדיוק.
you have the privilege of being here together with all the greatest of the generation. Ah, a smile. That's
ואנחנו היום
excellent
בשיחה
for
מאוד
spiritual
מיוחדת,
advancement.
שבדיוק
And
דיברנו על זה
this is a
עכשיו
very
לפני,
special talk.
שהיא מאוד מאוד
We
מרגשת
just
אותנו,
talked about this today,
וקיבלנו מכם שאלות.
and this really
נהנינו הרבה
excites us.
מהשאלות שקיבלנו.
We were really
וגם
impressed and
אנחנו
inspired by the
רוצים לנצל את השיחה הזאת
questions that we've
לעשות
received
אותה
from
כאילו הייתה
you.
בעבר. זאת אומרת, שיחה
And we never
פתוחה,
had this kind of talk
בלי
before.
ערפל. אז כאן נמצאים כל
Talk with the
חברי
European
ההנהלה,
Kli,
בני ברוך,
management with the
גלעד
European Kli.
שדמון,
So here is the entire management.
גלעד
We have
שדמון,
Gilad Shadmon,
ורועי הקוקה,
Roya Koka,
ודודי אהרוני,
Dudi Aharoni,
ומיכאל סנילביץ',
Michael Sanilevich,
ואורן לוי,
and Oren Levy,
ואני,
and
אנחנו חברי
myself. We
ההנהלה.
are the six members of the Bnei
אנחנו
B'rach
מאוד מאוד שמחים
management team,
להיות כאן איתכם,
and we're really
ואנחנו
proud and
אמורים לנהל
delighted
שיחה
to be here
בין
with
5
you.
ל-8.
And we'll have a talk
מקווים שכולם
until
מבינים
8
את זה.
o'clock. I hope everyone's getting
ונשמח לשאלות
translation. You'll be able to
בכל
ask
נושא
questions
ועניין שאתם
on
מרגישים
any
שיש למישהו
subject and
שאלות.
topic that
אפשר לדבר
you
על
feel a
הכל.
need to ask about. We
נשמח
can talk
להסביר
about
את זה.
everything.
זאת לא
There's
שיחה על
nothing
נושא
that is
ספציפי,
forbidden to talk
שיחה
about.
פתוחה
This
מה
talk is
שנקרא,
not on a specific
ואנחנו
topic, it is an
פשוט
open
הכי
talk.
פתוח
And
ומשפחה
therefore,
שיכולתי עכשיו
feel
סביב
free,
השולחן,
the family
ורוצה
sitting
לדבר על מה
together
שרוצה
around the
לדבר, על מה
table
שמרגיש
might
נפלא,
talk
מה
about what's
שמפעיל אותם,
important
מה
to it,
שמשמח
what
אותם.
bothers it,
אתם יכולים לשתף
what
אותנו
makes it
בדברים
happy.
שאתם
You can
מרגישים,
share
דברים
things that you
אחרים,
feel with us,
הכל
or
פתוח.
anything in short.
אנחנו כאן,
We're
נשמח
here
לענות על כל דבר
and we'll be
שנשאל.
happy to answer whatever we
נתחיל
can.
משאלות
We'll
ששלחתם,
start with
ונתייחס לנושאים
questions that you've
שבהם
sent, and
כבר
we will
קיבלנו בראש,
relate
אבל
to
בהחלט
that
אתם
first.
מוזמנים להרים גם סימני
And
שאלה,
you're also
גם
invited to raise your
שאלות
question
שאתם
marks
יודעים
and
לשאול.
ask on any
אז נתחיל
topic.
מלקרוא קטע,
So let's
קטעי
start with reading an excerpt. Owen, if you can read it to us.
One who truly wants to serve the Creator must include himself with all creations, connect himself with all the souls, include himself with them, and they with him. That is, you should leave for yourself only what is needed for connecting the Shekhinah, divinity, so to speak. This requires closeness and many people, for the more people serve the Creator, the more the light of the Shekhinah appears to them. For this reason, one must include himself with all the people and with all creations, and raise everything to their root, to the correction of the Shekhinah. From Degel Mechane Ephraim.
אז אנחנו נתחיל,
Thank you.
והנושא
So we'll
הראשון
start.
שקיבלנו
And the first topic
שאלות,
that we have questions about, and it's natural,
שאתם דואגים,
and we're happy
זה הרב.
that you're concerned, is
השאלה היא
Rav.
מה מצבו של הרב
There was a question
לשעבר.
about
הרבה חברים היו
how's Rav
רוצים לדעת
doing?
מה מצבו הבריאותי
Many
של הרב.
friends would like to know how's his health. Michael, please.
Yes, so Rav is well. We are together with him in the 10. We meet with him every day, at least for an hour, sometimes more. We read articles. Unfortunately, he can't teach because it does take a lot of energy, and anybody who teaches knows that. But we do our best to publish the talks that we do with him. Once a week, we try to take a short trip. Once in a quarter, we do a longer trip, like a weekend, 3 or 4 days. And of course, Rav feels a lot of responsibility, no matter how he feels. He's always taking part in the 10, doing his best to be equal, which is a very interesting and new state for us, where he really wants to be a friend. So for us in the 10, we still don't really know how to work with that. And maybe the friends want to add.
Right. To add, when Rav is asked, "How are you? How are you doing? How do you feel?" he smiles and he says, "I'm relaxed. Um, I feel content." So let's go with Rav. He feels really good, and just like Michael just mentioned, he reads and talks, and he's our Rav.
אני שואל את זה כשאלה פתוחה,
Some of the friends shared, and I'm asking this as an open question, that they have this inner fear of the thought that there will be a time when Rav won't be with us in the same way. And we understand that it's mainly a feeling, whether individual or collective, and we trust the management team, but there's still a fear that we don't always know how to calm. So the friends are asking, how should we relate to this fear from a spiritual perspective, how to work with it in the 10 and in the Kli?
Right. This is a legit fear that all of us have. We all go through different states, and there are certain moments where a person thinks, "What did I come here for? Who did I learn everything that I have in life, in my spiritual life, from?" Of course, it's Rav. He's our superior, our upper. He was, he is, and always will be. That's how the system's built. Now, the question is, what does it mean to be with the Rav? Maybe he's standing right next to you and teaching you something, and you're someplace else, you don't hear him, so you're not with him. Maybe you hear what Rav is saying, you're watching a lesson, and you don't care if this lesson is from today, a year, or 20 years ago, because Rav is speaking to you, and you go and realize what he says, and then you're connected with Rav. Rav is in a place of eternity, regardless of his body. He might be right next to me, or a mile, or 20,000 miles from me. Doesn't matter. The Rav is our relation to him. In him, there's everything. And everyone in our global group, tens of thousands of students. Well, Owen, he put it beautifully. I hear from each of you something from Rav. Many times it's to hear Rav's students and our friends that are Rav students, and to hear Rav through them. It's to do what Rav wants us to do all the time. He says, all this is his answer to every question. First of all, connect, reveal the creator between yourselves, and then we'll talk. Whoever does that, he is really with the Rav, and those that don't, because we forget, we have ups, we have downs, then they're not with the Rav, even if the Rav is standing right next to them. So this is how we try to keep this relationship between us, and by that to overcome the natural fear that we all have.
I also wanted to add to this subject. First of all, the connection to the Rav depends on the desire of the student. It's just like we see with Rav, that even to this day he tells of how connected he is to Rabash, even more so than he was when he was next to him. And you can really see it, that when he reads the text of Rabash, you see how he connects to him even more through that desire to learn and to adhere to him more and more. And it's the same with us, exactly the same. This is the exercise, the practice that we have to learn how to adhere to him in every way that the Creator reveals to us. He shows us a reality that, on the one hand, the Rav is distancing from us in terms of the physical body, but together with that, he's still teaching us. Tomorrow at 2:40, we're going to be watching a lesson that the Rav will give us. And this will be our daily portion. And that's the daily message the spiritual message that he now wants to give to us. So it's all up to us. How much do we want to receive from him the method? Because everyone who was close to him, next to him throughout all the years until today, there was never a time where he pulled people to him and told people, come be glued to me like some great rabbi. The opposite. He always told us to adhere to the method and the creator, and that if we do that, we will strengthen the connection to him.
Also, to add, many times we have heard from the Rav that he said, I've given you everything, meaning the entire method, everything, the entire Torah. And we see it daily on our lessons, how each morning we more and more feel how Rav is really like opening up to us, guiding us. And a person also needs to scrutinize what exactly is he afraid of. That he'll lose what? Because Rav is giving all the time. It's not that now he's giving something in specific hours. He's giving all the time. Like the friends say, if a person wants, he can receive from him in every moment to connect with Rav and receive. And now I'm connecting materials for Ari's passing, for the commemoration of his passing. And he's asking there, where's Chaim? Where's his student? And he says, you have nothing to worry about because eventually I'll come and I'll teach you. There are many ways, and therefore we have nothing to be afraid of. And also, I saw another question, is it possible to pass on to Rav that we think about him and care about him? Then yes, we will tell him on behalf of all the friends in Europe that you love and think about him, and all of us do.
Thank you. So we're going to move to the next topic, which is how to receive the spiritual importance of the management team. One of the friends wrote it this way: make you a Rav and purchase a friend. That is clear. But how to purchase or make yourself a management team, that is less clear. We understand that it's not just about an organizational structure. These are friends who have been close to the Rav for many years. The question is, how can we see the management as a spiritual management and not just an organizational one? So I want to go back to our previous topic. We are not presuming to replace the Rav or his leadership. He is our teacher. He was our teacher. He's now our teacher. And forever he will be our teacher, our spiritual leader. The ladder of degrees does not change. It remains. The Rav is connected to Rabash. The Rabash is connected to Bala Sulam, and so on and so on. And we're all connected to this chain through the Rav. We connect to Rabash through the Rav and not otherwise. And therefore, this management that the Rav has appointed does not presume to replace the Rav. The Rav has given us a main duty, which is to maintain the orders and regulations. Maybe it's more an organizational role. I'm not sure how to separate it from a spiritual to daily task. We just try to adhere to the order that the Rav has maintained, and we try not to change anything that he's taught us. And all the friends here also who give the lessons and teach, and all the other friends who teach, we do our best to adhere to the words of the Rav because he is our superior, our upper. And so, how do we treat the management as a spiritual body? We try to work together and to lead the organization as best as we can. Do you want to add? We'll continue. Dudi, we are asked a question. How do we experience the work inside our management team up until now?
So far, maybe we'll have also other states, but there's a law that Rav gave to management. You need to make your decisions unanimously, and also keep the same order of days, same hours, same source texts, the same framework that the Rav has received from the Rush, received it from Bala Sulam, and back, dating back to Aram. And we really try to make our decisions or take our decisions unanimously. Hard to define what that is. It's more of a feeling. It's not that all of us now agree together to a certain decision. I describe it as follows, and the friends will continue. It's more of a shared feeling, usually, because you sense that a friend he's not content with a certain decision. He doesn't feel whole with it. And you see that if one friend disagrees with something or doesn't give an exterior expression to his consent, eventually it will not be accepted. You see that that's how it simply works. So therefore, we really try to make our decisions together out of connection, out of the common good, thinking about everyone. We meet several times a week, 4 to 5 times a week. We meet for several hours, and it takes a lot from us.
And what we need is prayers. We need your prayers that Bnei Baruch will be born into its new degree. We will be glad not to reach that, but Creator has his plans, and Bnei Baruch is building the future from now on, even now. So the friends are asking, what does it mean to make yourself a management? It means to pray that within this group of 6 friends, there will be love. There will be the quality of the Creator, so that from that love, we will hear the voice of the Rav guiding us, deciding for us. What is Bnei Baruch? It's the head of humanity. How can we transmit the light that the Rav is transmitting into creation? I think that is our main concern of all of ours. All our life is Bnei Baruch, and all our future is Bnei Baruch. And so that we have the light, we have to all pray that the head, that organ of Bnei Baruch called the head, will grow so that the light of the Rav will be able to flow through us and connect us. I truly feel in my gut that this all depends on the power of the prayers of all of us.
Right, like Rav told us in the 10 that we need to build the Rosh, the head, like we made Rav, the Rav. As it says, make yourself a Rav as a process. Organizationally wise, it's clear, no need to build. We know how organizations work, and here we don't need help. But spiritually wise, each of you needs to build. Just like we made Rav the Rav, made him great in our eyes in order to be able to hear advice from him. And there were many people on this path who disagreed with it and left because they did not want to build him as the Rav. Same thing here. No choice. If you want for management to be spiritual, it's all up to you. Sure, we too need to try and serve as an example, goes without saying. But really, everything depends. And by the way, it doesn't matter who the people here are. It's not about the people. I'm sure that the people will change, but at least in relation to what we talked to Rob about, the way it seems, at least this is what he said, this is what we heard, that he said that there won't be some big shot that will lead the organization, the future, but it will always be a group of people. Maybe the group will be bigger, meaning with the time of one single charismatic leader is over, those times are over. And also, like it was in the past, there was always some big group, there was the head that was leading, and people inside it changed. And we need to make sure that we have a head too.
A few questions about the future and our vision for the next 5 or 10 years. How do we see the development of the world Kli in the next 5 or 10 years? In what direction should we evolve as a spiritual global community?
Look, I never heard about these kinds of plans from Rob, even though that I asked many times what's going to happen in 5, 10 years, because as the CEO, it was important to me to know what kind of systems do I need to build for whatever will happen in 5 or 10 years. I never got an answer beyond that, that we will be more connected, obviously. This is the nature of things, and therefore, building for 5, 10 years ahead, that's really like that joke where if you want to make the creator laugh, tell him about your plans. And eventually, we know what we need to do. How much time will it take? And how will it materialize? We don't know, but the principles are known to us. Suppose for the near future, we're planning to do several things. First of all, we have to establish a better, tighter connection between management and the European Kli, in this case, meaning through the heads of communities. What is the European Kli? The European Kli is divided into many sub-communities by language, area, country, Germany, Romania, Bulgaria, etc. So, in every country, we want, oh, and not everywhere you have that, but we would like to have representatives of ours that are the heads of those communities that will work with us tightly together. And under that head of community, there need to be assistant. He has to have um, others who assist him, which means that if I have 5 tents under me, then I at least need to have one people assisting. And inside the tent, there needs to be the head of the tent, that whoever assists can be connected to that head of the tent. So we have few levels. We have the representative of the tent who knows what goes on inside of the tent, because our desire is to know what goes on inside every tent and to serve the tent, to understand what's going on, what challenges do you have. So there's the head of the tent. Then there's whoever assists. There's the head of community. There is, suppose Aviv and I were responsible for the world Kli. Oren and Gilad, they're responsible for the Israeli Kli. And Roy and Dudi, they're responsible for the younger generation, or for younger students, new students. Now, this entire chain needs to work. This management. Partially, it already exists, and of course, we can be connected from time to time the way we are now and answer questions, but still, it does not resolve or solve the challenge of wanting to know what happens in every 10 and being able to help from our experience, help each of you
It's
to
not
advance.
it's not just to know what happens in every 10. One of our main roles is to build an optimal environment for every student that wants to follow in the path of the Rab and Bala Salam. And for that, we need to understand the conditions and states that you are experiencing. There are things that we already know from experience that they work, and we have to make sure that they work. There are systems at work, there are processes, there are all kinds of orders, there are things that are uh, more known and less known. And we have to make sure this fits for everyone because Rav has taught this to everyone, and we have to make sure that everybody can have access to this so that everybody can uh, advance together. And so we want to know you, to speak to you, to understand what's happening and what you need. There's some things that we can't really understand from afar. There are different things that have to do with the location, the area, and every country can be different. Every country can be unique with its unique mentality and culture. It's complicated. So we want to reach to on the 14th to the 16th of July, we're going to come to Lithuania. We want to come and meet the Baltic groups. So everybody from that area is invited so that we can begin to speak about the process of building a community. What started in 2023 is that many new students began to arrive through the global campus and in other ways. And now communities are beginning to sprout up, and we have to think about how to build these communities. It's like a family with kids. We have to see how do we connect the new students and the older students, and we have to see how to help this evolve. How do we prepare ourselves for new students that come in? There's a whole process that needs to be built. So we want to start doing that more actively.
Right, um about this trip. I asked Judith to start organizing it. Within 6 months, we want to reach every place where there is some kind of gathering. I understand that it's very expensive to gather all in one place, and even if you do, understand that it will be difficult to meet with everyone and understand what's going on, different cultures, different languages. So we're willing day after day to move from one place to another, meet all the groups, and do this. We're in a new period in time. Rav and veteran friends remember this. Rav was directly connected with the friends. He visited too, but through the lessons that he gave, he felt everyone, he was connected with everyone, he answered, he was a guide. And he also traveled. Sometimes we traveled with him, sometimes he traveled for 10 people. Now, we're here in a new situation. We're not Rav, we're not one person, and we are intense. We want to learn. What do you feel? How does a 10 exist under the conditions that you exist in? We're going through a process that there was never anything like it in history. That there were tens, 3,000 people 3,000 years ago, small groups in a small area. Today we're spread out all throughout Europe and the entire world, and we need to build a method that will serve future generations. So that's our initial task. How do we build the connection? In the past, Rob was sitting World Kli in front of him. He used to give the lesson, they used to ask, so he feels the points in the heart. Here we need to build this entire connection. It's not we by ourselves. We need to build the heads of communities, those that help, those that assist, and it's really like a research. It's something completely new. We have nowhere to take an example from. So, also, we would like to build a strong community, a strong sense of community. Germany, Bulgaria, other places, France, that will have many people there, that after the global course, many new students will join and we will be able to absorb them. We need to learn how to do it. Is the right thing to already for the new students to enter veteran tens or those that just finished the global course? They need to be as separate group, but we don't exactly know what's better. There are different opinions about this. We are really in a research. These are things that aren't written. What's better for a person to join a veteran 10 that's been together for 6, 7 years, or to be with his semester, those that studied with him? So, our goal is to strengthen the group, a sense of group identity. We want for every area to try and do their best to bring the maximum amount of people in order to enhance the connection, the language, the culture of each and every area. Of course, we really want for everyone. I don't even want to call it an exercise. The head of the 10. It's a structure that in every 10 there needs to be a head, and we're still in a kind of research as to what is his role, what is the work of the head in relation to the friends, and especially what do the friends need to do in order to build this head. Here too, we know that not everyone has begun this exercise yet. And of course, we want to make changes and build the future tens. And it's possible that tens that we already have now, that they will be more physically connected, or the tens that we will build that will at least have the ability to meet once a week, once a month, and not like it was during the coronavirus that they were dispersed without the ability to connect. So this is also an emphasis.
Right, because we see that in order for a 10 to be strong and stable, it has to meet physically. It's clear to us that there are distances and that reality is complicated and people are in different areas. But our ambition is to try and organize the tens in such a way that people will be able to meet. Each one of the friends that are sitting here every week meets, has a meal. We have a meal together or a meeting, a 10 meeting. So even in Europe, if it doesn't happen physically every week, at least once in a while. How much? As much as possible, depends on the area, depends on the distance and the conditions. But the goal is not for a person to be in a 10 with other people who are in different countries, because then we won't be able to meet because each person is in a different country, different time zone, lots of distances. So these things really make it difficult for us to give strength to each other. It's true that virtually we can still give strength to each other on the level of the study, but the meetings, the physical meetings are very important. And so our ambition is to gradually, and we're doing this gradually, we're not doing this irresponsibly or too quickly, but to gradually move into a structure of tens that are in the same area so that they can meet every once in a while. And this is our what we're striving towards on a global level. There are differences in different continents and areas, but in Europe, it is possible. There are big countries like Romania and others, but it is possible to create situations where people will be able to meet once in a certain amount of time because these meetings give a lot of strength and enable much deeper interaction, and it's important to us. COVID created a totally virtual situation, and now we're not in that state, and we do want for the reality of physical closeness to come back.
And it's interesting that after the coronavirus, we've gained experience and we see that we can study virtually, but to have a meal, have a congress, to do something that is an experience. For that, we need to have people physically with us, and therefore we need to think about how to change the structure. So at least once a week, it will be possible to sit together for a meal once a month, Yeshivat Chaverim once a quarter, to meet with the entire area. We feel that these things are missing. This is what we've received from the Rav. We were brought up this way. We're familiar with studying and physically together and meeting physically. I suppose you feel that virtually isn't enough. So, of course, we're scattered, but still, in every country, practically in every city, there are enough people in order to meet. True, you need to make an effort, but that's the method. Look, statesmen, they meet in order to sign agreements or whatever. They can do it on Zoom, obviously. And therefore, this year we want to arrange this and that whoever wants to, that they'll have an opportunity to meet physically. Another thing, roles. We see how much Rav demanded of everyone to have a role. And the role that's actually for you. It's not that someone needs it. At least in our world, it's an expression of love and bestowal is to have a role in the 10 and dissemination. The role can be social or in dissemination, it doesn't matter, but you have to have a role that keeps the person. A person can't only study And the last thing is that we have a challenge. And after we understand the reality that you live in, we need to think about how to connect in a more in a way that's more of an experience. How do you do it? What kind of new ways of connection will we generate? We need to think about it. We have no solution. We can only say how things were 20 or 30 years ago. What did Rav do with us? But it was because we were a small group and we're only men. So we did different things besides studying. We went on trips together. We played soccer. We had picnics. We did different things. Rob did many, many things with us in order to connect us. But again, it was a small group of young men. Here it's something else. Here we're 100 times bigger, more multifaceted, dispersed all over the world. So I'm asking, what else do we need to do in order to come closer to each other? That remains a challenge. And we don't know. And we'd like to scrutinize this together with you.
Yes, we have a few more points. Of course, you're all welcome to send us questions in the chat or live. You can raise your question marks, raise your hand on the Zoom, and we can advance. So, a question. In the past, the friends are saying, if we had a deep spiritual question, we felt that we could raise it to the Rav or write it to the Rav. And today, many friends feel that they don't really have someone to ask these questions. So, what do we do with these questions? Who do we send them to?
First of all, our lessons continue. We meet every morning. We have wonderful guides. We have Avi Sofer and Michael Sanilevich, veteran students of the Rav that throughout all the years learned from him, have an experience, have lots of experience, many discernments, and on these lessons with these guides, you can ask anything that you want. Not only about the study, questions about the spiritual work, questions about work in the 10. Nothing to be shy about. You can ask any question that you want. Nothing to be ashamed of. Now, this is about the lessons. Now, if it's a more particular question, or you want to ask something more specific, or the lesson isn't exactly the appropriate place to ask, we have the heads of communities, language managers. You can ask them. These are experienced friends. You can consult them, feel free. And also, if still you're looking for no problem. You can also, if you want to, turn to management, ask. This is our address. You can ask whatever questions you want about spiritual work. I can say that it is very recommended to daily follow the morning lessons. We're going through a series of lessons from 2002 right now, in which Rav really built the group and he gives there many, many principles, foundations, very important things, and therefore it's really worthwhile to listen to these lessons during the day too, because listening to the Rav, being washed by his words, by the source texts, this is what really will build in you the right perception, and you'll start seeing how you're starting to get answers from within yourself, so to speak, to those questions that awaken in you.
Yes, so more questions. Ro'i, friends are asking, how can we help you? What do you need from us as friends, as tens, as groups in Europe? How can we be more helpful, more connected, and more aimed at what the Rav and the Kli need from us right now?
אתם יכולים לעזור לנו? אז קודם כל, בזה
What
שמכניסים את האתם
Well, first of all, uh, by not or by there's no we and you, there's one world, Kli. There's Bnei Baruch that has one goal to reach the Creator. And the best thing is to want for Bnei Baruch to want for for Bnei Baruch to become something internal, that no matter what, they will continue disseminating or circulating the light of the Creator into the world in Rav's words, and this is something that everyone can join in and help. Their lessons come to them. Drink Rav's method, his Torah, every day. He's giving it. It's there. It's alive. And it's in our hands. Do we want to receive it or not? And in that, you can help. We, as management, I can put it this way. We don't need some medals. We're doing it because we have to. It's an inner feeling that we feel that it has to happen. It has to continue. And this what we do. We are working on causing it to continue. And everyone needs to be in the same direction to constantly see how do we make it continue. And we're all really lucky. The Creator loves all of us, giving us the global course. It's like a miracle that happened to Europe. And in that the Creator gave this, He really gave you a platform in which all of you can be that all of you can be a part of it and advance and grow. And that's something you'll want for it to happen. If you look at the world and you look at Europe, there are the countries there that at every given moment determine what happens in the world and humanity, and you need to be 1,000 times more than you are today, and it's in your hands. And just like what Rav did, we can really circulate this Torah from morning till evening, but for it to reach the right hands in Europe, that's in your hands. That's your work to want for it to happen. Because from here, there's like someone who's sitting with a kind of like megaphone, shouting, explaining the method, but it reaches you. That's it. And so that it will continue circulating from you onwards, you need an amplifier. And that's the biggest help to constantly make sure the method will continue to be loyal and devoted to Bnei Baruch. That's it.
A question about the importance of physical versus virtual meetings. It feels like there is kind of a confusion around physical versus virtual, because on one hand we say it doesn't matter where a person is at and you can work correctly with a virtual connection. But on the other hand, we do feel that the physical meetings are important, like conventions, meetings of friends, and regional conventions. So, can you give us a more clear direction in regards to the importance of physical meeting and virtual one and how to balance them correctly?
Right, so like Aviu previously explained or described, Europe is very multifaceted. It's not like in Israel. The distances aren't for sure, but also not that far from one another, like in South America, like in Siberia, like the taiga. And Europe is somewhere in the middle. And clearly, with our day-to-day lifestyle, we can't physically meet in most places. I was in places in Europe where friends do live close to each other in the same city. They have a center, they meet, that exists. too. But most of the students in Europe are, to some measure, virtual, and it's important. And like we explained previously, study is persistence. Shi'ul in Hebrew, lesson, shi'ul, also means measure in Hebrew, a measure of light that you receive, and we have to be connected with that portion of light that we receive daily light. Just like I won't give up a meal or breathing, I can't give up on the morning lesson. If I can watch it live, great. If I couldn't, time zones, whatever, family, work, okay. Have an entire day, 24 hours, to watch that lesson and connect to the breadth of the world Kli. So, of course, virtual will always be the basis that you you have to have that. But when we have an opportunity to connect physically, like in physical convention, like in tense convention, which is even more complicated sometimes because it's very dispersed. So I'll make every possible effort, of course, to the extent to which I can, to get there physically. Why? Because we're still not corrected. And the physical world, I can sit here next to Hui, give him a hug, drink coffee together, drink a l'chaim, smell, taste the friend, really. Still, we live inside our senses. Probably when all of us will be in the world of Atzilut, then it'll be beyond bodies and places and everything, and we won't need the physical connection. But until then, there is a very important value to the physical connection. Therefore, we're not saying every day, every moment, you don't need to move. But when you do have this opportunity, even if it's 2, 3, 4 hours away, it's worth the effort. I know, you know, how it is before and after. Before you think, how can I? And I take a day off and here and there and different thoughts. And after, a person comes back and says, how can I do it every day? It's like when I was little, I didn't want to take a bath. I did what I could in order not to take a bath. But once I was in the tub, that's it. I didn't want to come out. So the physical gathering is something different than the virtual.
Thank you. So let's move to some live questions. You're also welcome to send questions in the chat and also live. So Chris Dawson, please.
Hi, everyone. Management was saying that Rav always said that everybody in the group needed to take a role. How do we decide what the correct role is, and how can we make and how can we decide how to use our talents in the best way?
So I would say it's according to one's personality, their nature, what a person is attracted to or desires. If a person doesn't know what role is right for them, then they approach a more veteran friend or somebody who can direct him. In Israel, we have a whole team, human resource team that can direct them. And you also have that in Europe, so great. I can say that I have had the experience of moving from many roles through many roles, social roles, dissemination, and each time I saw where can I contribute more. Of course, I also change all the time, so sometimes I can give more in writing, sometimes in production, and there are many different roles. And Chris, I know that we've also written together many times about what's happening in Europe over the years. You have a great talent for dissemination, for writing, if I'm giving you a personal answer right now. So, of course, you have many abilities, and certainly we need to disseminate and transmit this wisdom in the social networks. So that is still the most powerful form of dissemination, and that's worthwhile. So whoever speaks languages can join with the translation teams, and there are many, many different ways that you can help. So a person who wants to help will find their way, the place to help. No problem.
Can I ask one more question about that, following on from what you just said, Dudi? Because we used to have the
זה באמת מי שיש לו את היכולות האלו, ברור שזה אנשים בודדים, אז...
Really, only a few have these abilities, so you know who to turn to. But looking to the future, what professions will we need? What I see right now, maybe in the future, it'll change. Translators. We always need translators. That's one thing. Another thing, even more important, are those that accompany the tens. It is clear to us that the people that will study the wisdom of Kabbalah will grow, and then you'll have many tens, and we'll need experienced veteran friends that have the right approach, that know how to work with the public in order to accompany them, in order to pass these values on to them. We can say educators, we can say tutors, I don't know, it doesn't matter how you call it. What do? We've absorbed values from Rav in order to have the right connection between us, and we pass this on. It's an educational process, so we'll need these kinds of educators in the tens. And also, producers. We see whether it's an event in my own country or wherever, to arrange an event. For example, yesterday I arranged the meal for the 10. It's an event. I had to take care of the content, the food, everything. Meaning the producers of the different events, a weekly event, monthly event, bigger event, an event like we'll have in October, an event that could be in my country. For sure, there will be many roles there. These are the roles that we will need for sure.
Sylvia from Spain is asking us, in continuation to what we spoke about with the tens, what will happen to the tens that already exist and are spread over a country that has huge distances, for example, Spain? Will these tens change? We don't know to say what's going to happen right now. We can only say what the directions of development are, and then we will discover together what will be. We certainly feel that physical connections within a 10 advance the 10 into spirituality. Every person who was a part of the last convention that we did tasted that and doesn't need any more explanations. They felt that when you come to the 10 and meet up in a certain place, we really feel each other's desires for divinity, and that helps us to feel the Creator, and that is what we are alive for. Therefore, we understand that if a 10 is made up of people who can physically meet and connect, for example, have a meal once a week, it will help them to advance towards the revelation of the Creator. That is our general approach. And specifically for every country and every 10, whether you live close by or far away, we're going to discover that on the way, because our reality is constantly changing. If we work well and every 10 will be full of light, and the whole European Kli and Bb in general, more people will come to us like bees to honey. So maybe in your city, suddenly, 100 new friends will show up. So what will we do? We will put them in the tens. So we just need to be constantly checking and seeing what it is that Creator is showing us and bringing us, to use our experience in the tens, and especially to be flexible. Allow the Creator to shape us, our new shapes, the more advanced forms, and together we will succeed with His help.
Just to add, one of the things that we're planning is to start connecting semesters. Suppose you finished the second semester of the global course, now there's the third semester, soon new friends will join the tens. We'll start thinking how to connect them to you and build tens out of several semesters, so that there will be more regional processes that will go on that will enable for the regional process to work. In the meantime, we're not making any changes, we don't do anything before there's something new.
I want to add another food for thought. And now I'm turning to the more veteran friends that we have, the very veteran friends in BB. They are the treasure of humanity. Why? Because the Rav has instilled in them throughout the years everything from within him. Where is that? It's inside the hearts of the friends who have been here for many years. If we take a look, we see that time goes by, we're getting older. Where will all the light that Rav put in all these people go? It needs to go to the next generations. So we are in tens that might be very old tens, but maybe in the future there will be a new way in which we receive new friends, new parts of creation, and we'll be able to give to them what Rav gave to us. So on the one hand, we need to be adhered to Rav, and on the other hand, to act in the way that Creator shows us with flexibility and a desire to reveal the more advanced forms of our tens as Europe, as BB in general.
Veronica from KW22 is asking, every 10 develops. And so does every person. And everyone makes different changes and different choices in the work. Why you as the management are asking us to develop an identity for a region, for a town, for a group? What's the point if we're going through so many changes? And the question is actually, what will the regional identity give us?
So first, maybe we should really talk about what is an area. When we talk about an area, we mean either people who speak the same language. Let's say all of North America, you could say, is an area. Or if we're talking about Europe, then Germany, Romania, France, that's an area. They speak the same language, the same culture. That's clear to us. Now, why do we need to develop that? For a few reasons. First of all, it's clear to us that we need to strengthen the 10, because in spirituality there's no less than 10. So again, in accordance to the theory, you can even have 2 people, but it's better if you have at least 10 or more people. So we strengthen the 10s every day through the lessons, by meeting with each other. Of course, not all of us meet physically, but at least virtually. And a 10 is like a cell. You see that our body is made of many cells, and many cells create an organ. So every number of 10s that say are in the area of France or the area of Germany, they create a certain organ. And therefore, it's important to us to strengthen this organ, because the power within 110 isn't enough. I need to have at least a few dozens or a few hundreds of people, not every day, but at least once in a while, to meet with them, get examples from them, to also give them and mutually share experience. And then there is the whole world Kli. And that's why every year we want to meet and feel the power of meeting 3, 4, 5,000 people who are very different, not just that come from one country like France or Germany, but the whole world. And so there will be a time where we want to connect different countries in Europe, but for now that's a bit early. First, we want to strengthen the 10, then strengthen the region, like a certain country, and then we will connect all these different parts in Europe. So the more we've tried and spoken to Rav about when should we start start to connect 10s, he said it's not time yet. And every month we hear that. And he is always saying it's not time yet, and you will feel when it is time. And so right now we still need to strengthen the 10 and to strengthen a region of a number of 10s, but not connection between 10s, maybe just organizationally speaking.
אז הם שאלו אותו, עשירייה אחת יכולה לבד להגיע לפתרון? והרב ענה שלא.
So when Rob was asked, can 110 reach a solution? He said no. There is a surrounding light, and we need support. We can't live as a 10 in an empty space. And the environment supports the 10. Just like the 10 is an environment for a person, the environment for the 10 is the region. So, for example, the Romanian speakers are the environment, or the Spanish speakers are an environment in our country, and they build for us this region. So Europe is even a greater system around that. What advice do you have for building a community of young Europeans for Dudi and Roi?
Good question. I can say that here too in Israel, it's being built as we speak. I'd like to ask you for advice too. So we need to think about you need to think about different activities that attract younger people, because like studying at night or meals and different things that we do, maybe we're inspired by this, but for the younger generation, and I'm trying not to generalize, but they want more of an experience, more of, say, something more exciting. And I can say that the younger community here in Israel this weekend is going on a weekend, this weekend on a trip that they've arranged, that they'll have a sleepover, and they make the content and they make everything. And besides logistical help, they don't ask for anything. You know, it's like kids, give us the money, Dad. We'll know how to get along. Don't worry. So, first of all, also we're organizing events. Something younger, where you can dance, when you can talk, where you can drink, something that's more suitable for them. The values are the same values, the study is the same study, nothing changes. What does change? The atmosphere. The atmosphere is younger, and younger people feel these things and they're drawn to this. So think about it. How do you do it? Maybe you can create a certain framework for younger people that they can come to. And if you have such a group already, it's good to encourage them to gather every few weeks for a physical gathering or for a virtual gathering, conversation. And what we aspire for is to go out and disseminate, flow new blood into the system, tell new people that there's a very unique method that can help you a lot in life.
What more can you say? Hillel, I think you experienced it yourself when you were here in Israel. This thing is growing and evolving only through the desire of the same friends, the young people who are part of it. Everything that happens depends on them. Also, the trip that Dudi just spoke of, it's all them. They didn't get any funds or anything. They went and did everything on their own. They defined the price, the place, the route, what we're going to be eating, when, and everything. And in that way, they built this trip. And that's how they also did very successful events here in the center in the past. And by the way, you understand Hebrew, so you're invited if you want to be more part of the Zoom meetings. And also when you were here, I remember that you made sure that there would be translations for the lesson that we did on Thursdays, so we can do that maybe. It's all a matter of desire. Where there is a desire, everything works out.
דיברנו על מפגשים פיזיים ועל עשיריות, אז איך מתכננים לבנות
We
מחדש?
talked about physical meetings and tents, so how do you tend to rebuild the European groups that will be based more on geographical areas to mix tents, connect new students into the tents, and altogether the question about new students and veterans, is it the right thing to do to connect them together in the same tents and take into consideration the geographical place? There is a big challenge here as to how to turn to this.
So, like we said, we aim within the next 6 months to come and meet you in every group and every area and to find solutions together. Rob said we have to find solutions in connection. For us, in dissemination, in our dissemination factory, I can tell people what to do because I'm a professional. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm the manager. But here, when it comes to our society, neither I or the management team or Rav cannot come to a 10, which is a living organism. We can't come to you and tell you you have to break up and we're going to put new people. It has to come from the 10's desire and through agreement. Even if one person does not agree, we don't do it. We don't break things apart until it's clear to us what these people have already connected. So maybe we're going to Lithuania and they themselves have raised a question and we're going there to help them discern, is it really correct to break apart the 10 and then make regional 10s, but what's going to happen to the people who are left behind? So what, maybe some people should stay physical. So everything needs to be in agreement. So there is no answer. There is an awe. There is hesitation, or we're being careful through the understanding that we have to do this together.
Antonio from Spain, please. Hello, friends. In Spain, we speak the same language as in South America, and we have several friends from the global course from South America that join now, which is great. But the question is how to work with this. What do we do with these students from South America? Should they be with 10s in their continent or allow them to maybe continue with us? What do we do exactly?
Antonio, first we will sit together with the head of the language, the Spanish language, Eran Minuchin, and we will think. Spanish is a language that goes beyond boundaries. There are people in South America, in Spain, in other countries in the world. So we need to think and really sit and really think about how to build this process. Like Michael said, we are learning this process. Well, these are good problems. We have new students. This is great. Thank God. So we need to think, how do we build the family a bit differently than before? You yourself know that it's complicated. There's a person in a certain time distance in Spain and one in Chile, and there can be a 7-8 hour time difference. And this reality creates complexities in terms of being able to connect, not even, and let alone meet. It's a complicated process, so we have to sit together and think how to do it correctly. And we really hope that we'll have enough students in order to start to create independent tents. If there won't be, it will be a temporary process and it will build gradually. It might take time. There will be another course and another, and gradually it will be built. But we will sit together and think about it. We're conscious of this, and thank you, Antonio, for all the work that you do. Our friend Svetlana, please.
Спасибо. У меня такой вопрос. Но я про локальный конгресс. Я понимаю, что обсуждение только началось, что еще все будет проясняться. Но у меня такой конгресс.
This is my question about the regional convention. I understand that we've only started to speak about it, but I want to know, We are in Norway, and in these Scandinavian countries, there are very little people, but a very big desire. Of course, some people here don't speak Norwegian, some people speak Russian. We had one meeting that was very warm, and I have a question. The coming regional convention. So we're going to be meeting in the Scandinavian countries, or are we going to be meeting separately? And will anybody come to support our convention? Somebody who's not afraid of the cold. So I'm transmitting a lot of the deficiencies of the friends from Norway.
First of all, if there are people, I don't know how many people there are in Finland, Sweden, Norway. I'm sure there are, but it is preferable for you to meet together and not to go to some place because it's an area. Now, can someone from Petah Tikva come? We are planning to send and encourage friends. We have enough people that are not afraid of the cold to come to every corner of the world and support. Sure, you need to get organized in some place that will be comfortable, convenient, together, and not to go to some not expensive for the people that live in the area, etc. We were in Norway, in different places, or in Finland, many places. We gave introductory lectures. It's an area that there's need to develop. There are points in the heart in the area.
Yes, we will make an effort to send friends. We have to organize and to strengthen ourselves. And we really appreciate all the work that you do in Norway and in Scandinavia in general. We're all together. Lena from Germany, please.
Добрый день всем. У меня такой вопрос. Вы десятка,
אנחנו לא
163
שומעים.
Ж, поток 24, осень. И я хотела спросить,
Hello,
нас всего
everyone. We
лишь
are at 10 from Mac 24.
и до сих пор у нас не получилось
We're only
встретиться.
6 friends,
Нужно ли мне
and we
бояться,
live in
что
different
мне
countries.
бы этого, например, очень не хотелось, но вот такой вопрос. Спасибо.
Should we worry that you will fire us, you will disperse us?
Nothing to fear. We never, as I've explained, you don't do anything forcefully. That's not the army. If you feel a connection and we don't rule it out, we're in a research. If there's a 10, that's virtual. And you really feel close. It's forbidden. It's an anti spiritual action. If someone will come and disperse this kind of 10, no way. We're just saying that out of experience, there also, every now and then, there needs to be a physical gathering, and I suppose that you do that. The world is pretty small nowadays. You can get anywhere.
I want to add something about this because I see that this is a topic that's creating waves. So, Lena and everyone, we're only talking, like Oren said, about an idea. And it's important for all of you to have an optimal environment. We need to create the conditions, even though we're far from one another.
ועכשיו אנחנו מנסים לחשוב איך לשפר את זה. אם נמצא דרכים איך לשפר את זה, אז
If we
נציע.
find ways to improve it, we will bring them up. And like Michael said, it will all be done in collaboration and together, thinking together. The desire is to create the optimal conditions for people to meet. The idea seems exotic that a person in a 10 is in a 10 with people from different continents. But this makes it difficult for the 10. And it's possible that under different conditions, the friends will be able to create better connections and advance better. That's why we're talking about the idea or how it will be able to happen in these different regions. And we need to sit and think of how these details can can really be possible in different places. Some places have more students, some places have less students. There's a matter of language or all these different complexities to talk about. You're a 10 that speaks Russian and you live in Germany. So language is a necessity when it comes to building a 10. So nobody's going to change anything. We're just thinking, and we're going to be thinking together with you how to make this happen together.
We're talking about the value of sitting together. We have 5 senses. We can feel each other. Now, you don't necessarily need to live in the same area. Maybe in a few years there will be different machines or cars that will fly at the speed of light. You live in Alaska and the next moment you'll be in Europe. No problem. You don't have to live in the same place, but you have to physically, from time to time, meet. And at the moment, nothing can replace that. No Zoom, no nothing.
Susan, please, from Spain 1.
No sé si me escuchan. ¿Se escucha?
Can you hear me?
Sí. Bueno, la pregunta es la siguiente, porque, bueno, yo soy
So the question is as so.
hace 30 años que vivo en España.
I'm from Argentina.
Bueno, son de abuelos españoles.
I've been living in Spain for 30 years. I have many friends here, and so grandparents from Spain, etc. My connection to Spain is very strong. So how should I relate to that? Because I feel very connected to Spain, but also to South America. I'm not sure my question is clear.
Yeah, the question's clear, and we'll discuss this together with Ran Menuchin, the head of the Spanish language, and we'll think of what is the right way, particularly in this case, how to what to do, because this is really something very particular, and we need to understand all the ties, and for sure we'll get to that. Another question: what do you do in areas where you have Russian speakers, English speakers, Arab speakers, and local speakers? Modern Babylon. Everyone speaks different languages living in the same country. Also, we have Ukrainian, other languages. We see that the world's changing. People no longer live in one country, they move from country to country, don't necessarily speak the same language. Look, on the one hand, we saw that it has a regional power. Suppose when people gather in Barcelona or Berlin, they can speak different languages, but they all study the wisdom of Kabbalah, they all study from Rav, they're all on the same path. And it doesn't matter if I studied in Mach, someone else in KU, someone else in the global campus, whatever. I speak one language or another. The Creator has arranged a reality for us in which we have friends that study the same wisdom in the same region and same area, it doesn't matter. And therefore, these friends should meet. They can meet once a week, once a month, once in a regional congress. But it's good to know about other friends that study, because meeting them, that gives strength. And so we encourage these kinds of meetings. We think that it's important to do. Now, regarding the tens, we're not there yet in terms of changing tens. Another question that we received about veteran students. One of the questions was a question that we received from veteran students in Europe is, we see that the global course has created a very strong connection between the friends in Europe that study in the European course and the global course. It created a very strong connection between the new friends and the center in Petah Tikva and management. But we see that among some of the veteran friends, it is more challenging. What do you recommend us to do, the veteran friends? How do we strengthen also the veteran friends, and what role do they have in this new era?
Yeah, so we know that veterancy here in BB, it's not about how many years I've been studying. The more one studies and learns the wisdom of Kabbalah, they transform within themselves and they understand that the best thing that they can do is to serve others. So veteran students, their veterancy is expressed in greater annulment, greater agreement to accept everything that happens in the world Kli as something that comes from the creator in order to aim you towards the creator. And in that, they have a lot to give the newer students. Like Oren explained, everything that you received from the Rav, everything they heard, everything that these friends absorbed in the conventions, it's all in their heart. And these people have a duty to pass this on. It's not just a privilege, it's a duty. If you received something, then it's your duty to pass it on. So simply support. Turn to the heads of the languages and the organizers and ask, how can I help? What can I do to assist each one with their own abilities? If you can speak well, then you can speak, and other people can support in other ways. Send excerpts, give a personal example, support people who are new and want to enter the morning lessons. So there's a lot to do for every one of the veteran students, and I know many of them in Europe. They have a lot to give, and they just need to become accustomed to another change that happened. We're constantly undergoing changes, and the last one with the global course has been quite big, together with the fact that we're getting less lessons directly from Rav. We're receiving it through him more deeply, a lot more deeply, and we're taking these things, and we know that it's certain that each one can contribute to this transformation by asking, what more can I contribute to the spiritual development of the newer, younger students? A person who has this kind of approach, that's a veteran.
Right. To add, I think that the central thing about being a veteran student is by setting a personal example with all your veterancy to help each friend to be able to be absorbed into the group. And also, veteran friends have also certain difficulties, let's put it on the table, because you're already used to something, and it's not easy to accept that maybe there's a friend that I just sat next to, that just sat next to me at the table, all of a sudden becomes my teacher. Or the roles change and our relationships start change. But I think that it also answers the question as to the fear that many students share about what's going to happen to over time. I think the best advice is to get used to the changes that the creator is taking us through because he's taking care of all of us, all of Nebo, and each in particular. And Rav always says that there's nothing to worry about. The creator watches over us, taking care of us. And since I remember myself in Nebo, every day is different. Everything's changing all the time. The lessons are changing, the structure is changing, the tens, the everything, down to the menu and the meals. Everything changes on a daily basis. Friends enter, friends exit. Doesn't matter. Nebaruch is developing, evolving. That's how the Creator wants for us to evolve. And we need to annul ourselves, dive in, like with the example that Rav gave in the morning about the flock of a million birds, to allow the Creator to work on us. Not to be afraid of the different changes. There will be a million different changes, obviously. To flow with this, if it's difficult, to shut your eyes and do it that way. Don't be afraid, even if I'm the most veteran friend and things are changing in front of my very eyes, develop with it and it will bring success because you're with everyone.
Yes, Ali from France, please.
Друзья, добрый день. Я думаю, что я написала этот вопрос, но я хочу его озвучить, потому что я думаю, он откликнется многим, кто здесь. Вот
Hello,
здесь вот
friends. I
200
took the question, but I'd like to ask also.
десяток, ну, если взять сколько всего, это
There's
же
almost 250 people here,
вот у нас есть
and there are many more tens.
такая идея, как бы, я думаю, что очень важно нам, у нас есть популярная ситуация, когда в
What I
десятках
think
есть
is
люди, которые, ну, активны,
that there's this
которые такая более яркая точка
state that we see a lot where in tens
большинство
there are many people with a very burning point in the heart,
что больше в формате такого клуба по интересам. У них не горит, чтобы это реализовать свою жизнь.
and then there's a lot of friends who are in Kabbalah as a kind of a hobby, like it's not really important to them to fulfill the goal.
Что основное количество людей,
And then
которые
these
рядом,
people who do have a strong desire are kind of like hostages
и вот идея
because the friends next to them don't have such a strong desire. So the idea is maybe to,
февральского
after the October convention, until the convention in February,
такая десятка побратимы
to
с
have at least
десяткой
a
Петахтиквы,
week
например.
in every month
Чтобы у нас была такая
where we
возможность,
connect
что каждый десяток
between the tens in Europe and the tens in Petah Tikva, so that every 10
чтобы мы могли прожить одну неделю
will have the option
десяткой Петахтиквы, как одна
to
десятка.
live
Потому
for
что
a
я
week
думаю,
with a
что
10 from
для
Petah
тем, кто
Tikva,
сильный,
like one 10.
очень много еще сил,
Because I think that
может поднять
friends
общий
who
дух
are
вместе
strong will
десятки.
be greatly strengthened by that,
Духа
and it will also help to raise a general atmosphere in all the tens, because what we lack is a strong spirit atmosphere that you have in Petah Tikva.
First of all, thank you very much for your idea. We'll all try to take care of the general spirit of things, not only in Petah Tikva. We're building this together. We're in this process together. We'd like to thank everyone very much for your questions, for everything, for the persistence, for the devotion. We start today. We had our first talk. We'll continue the process, like we said. Stay in touch. It's also a good opportunity to say thank you very much to Judith and Yaakov Sabal that are so devotedly leading the European Kli for so many years, putting in their heart and soul for this process to succeed. And we will continue in the footsteps of Rav, Balasulam, and Rabash, and we'll try to give the Creator contentment. And let's sing.
נסיים כבר בשיר, בבקשה.
L'amour est dans l'union, l'amour est dans l'union, l'amour est dans l'union, l'amour est dans l'union, l'union des amis. L'amour est dans l'union, l'amour est dans l'union, l'amour est dans l'union.